Hello students, myself Dr. Divya Gildeyal in continuation with my fully solved question paper of Energy Science and Engineering exam which was held on the 4th of August 2022. Hereby we are presenting the complete solved question paper, and if you compare it with the model paper as per our promise which we had floated on the channel 5 days before your final exam, 80% of the questions have been lifted from the model paper, and approximately all questions are having their solutions in our book. Now let us solve this paper. As you can see, it is 100-mark question paper. You have been given 3 hours to solve the paper. You have been told to assume any missing data. Approximate marks will be allotted to each question answer accordingly. Since energy science is a theoretical paper, that is why lot of explanation is required if you want to fetch good marks. Now, let us start solving section A. Comment the significance about heat and mechanical energy. 2-mark question. Answer: mechanical energy can be converted to heat and heat can be converted into mechanical energy. This is also known as mechanical equivalent of heat. This means that one can change the internal energy of a system by doing work on the system or adding heat to the system. Under this usually come heat engines, etc. State the importance of electromagnetic energy. Electromagnetic energy is basically radiant energy that is traveling with the speed of light, and the electromagnetic energy spectra, if you remember, cosmic ray, X-ray, gamma ray, radio waves, etc., they are having so many uses in our day-to-day life. Define fast breeder reactions. Students, these are 2-mark questions. That is why we are not giving more than what you are supposed to be writing in order to fetch 2 marks, because this is a 3-hour question paper and we have to go according to the time limit. Define fast breeder reaction. Fast breeder reaction uses fast neutrons to breed fissile plutonium and possibly higher transuranics from fertile uranium. The fast spectrum is flexible enough that it can also breed fissile uranium from thorium if desired. Fast breeder is a nuclear reactor that is using fast neutron to generate more nuclear fuels than they consume while generating power. Comment upon the reaction mechanism between neutron decaying in nuclear energy process. Neutron decay is a type of radioactive decay of nuclei containing excess neutrons, in which a neutron is simply ejected from the nucleus. So during nuclear fission, a neutron collides with a uranium atom and splits it, releasing large amount of energy in the form of heat and radiation. What is the source of energy of sun? Source of energy of sun is the nuclear fusion process that takes place inside the sun. Define solar insulation. Solar energy is created by nuclear fusion. So solar energy insulation helps save and concentrate heat energy by avoiding thermal losses through the rear and sides of the collector. Solar energy insulation optimizes the efficiency of the collector, enabling the maximum amount of collected heat. What is angle of pitch? Angle between the longitudinal axis of an aircraft and the direction of the wind relative to the vehicle is known as angle of pitch. For wind turbines, this is used. State tip speed ratio. Tip speed ratio is also a term which is used in wind turbine. It is the ratio between the wind speed and the speed of the tips of wind turbine blades. The tip speed ratio is given by dividing the speed of the tips of the turbine blade by the speed of the wind. State the adverse effects about energy aspects towards climate change. This question was there in our model paper. You can check it on the site. When fossil fuels are burnt, they release large amounts of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, into the air. Greenhouse gases trap heat in our atmosphere, causing global warming. Lot of other negative aspects which you can write are pollution, water pollution, thermal pollution, climate change, emission of poisonous fuels in the air. Describe energy management system. This question was also in our model paper. An energy management system is a system of computer-aided tools used by operators for electricity utility. You can just bullet the points like energy maintenance includes planning and operation of energy production and energy consumption units, as well as energy distribution and storage. That is management, production planning, maintenance, and challenges of day-to-day life. So this gives you over with section A 2-mark question. You do not need to write extra because they have already given you in the instructions that follow that how much you are supposed to be writing. Now, section B onwards is a 10-mark question lifted from every unit. Here, in order to fetch these 10 marks, you have to write a lot, and especially in your own words to fetch the marks. State phase change energy conversion mechanism in the field perspective over surroundings. Now, this statement doesn't have any defined meaning. It is totally a theoretical answer. Phase energy or energy transformation, it is the process of changing energy from one form to the other for utilization or even for the negative aspects. So they are asking us to write the answer in terms of surroundings, that is atmosphere, or about what all are there in your surroundings. So we will focus more on chemical energy in this case, because chemical substances are released in the atmosphere or our surroundings, and storage media of chemical energy includes batteries, food, gasoline, breaking and making of chemical bonds involving chemical energy, which may be either absorbed or evolved into our atmospheric system. You can also mention other forms of phase conversion mechanism also, like providing heat for different forms of work, or to provide service like heating, refrigeration, lighting, mechanical work, etc. to operate machines. Describe briefly critical size, critical mass, nuclear fusion process mechanism. Critical size is the minimum size of a nuclear reactor core or nuclear weapon that can be made for a specific geometrical arrangement and material composition. Critical mass refers to nuclear devices having enough fissile material to sustain a nuclear chain reaction. Explain in detail various types of generation of solar cells. This question was there in our model paper. A solar cell or photovoltaic cell is an electrical device that converts energy of light directly into electricity. The three generations are: the first generation is silicon, second generation thin films, third generation the organic ones. You will have to explain this table in detail because it is a 10-mark question. Identify the potential of geothermal energy and how it can be extracted. This was also there in our model paper. The heat is geothermal power plants use heat from deep inside the earth to generate steam, which makes electricity. Geothermal heat pumps tap into heat close to the earth's surface to heat water to provide heat for the buildings. See, they are taking it from beneath the earth's surface, and then it is being used to run the turbines, and these turbines in return are giving electricity which is to be used for running buildings or etc. Explain in detail about energy conservation and optimization of energy consumption. This question was also there in our model paper. Energy conservation is the decision and practice of using less energy, like simple day-to-day applications, turning off the light when we are leaving the room, unplugging electric applications when they are not in use, using less of electricity for consumption, shutting down the computer system when not in use, trying to use turning off lights. And energy optimization means using energy in the build of environment to maximize the benefits, especially for the poor people. Explain in detail about quantum. Also explain the methodological process of energy quantization. Again, this 10-mark question was there in our model paper. Quantum, that means energy is quantized. An electron can radiate or absorb energy as radiation only in limited amounts or bundles called quanta. This is known as quantization of energy. So quantization is a physical quantity which has only discrete values. Like this expression here is showing you the answer for this question here. Energy of particle will have only certain values known as eigenvalues, and this is quantized, where n is 1, 2, 3, etc. Describe in detail photothermal and electrical aspects. Now, look at the question again. This question does not have any specific set of answer. It is more of you have to describe and write your day-to-day experience in this answer. This answer is not something like it you will find it like this only in a text and you just have to copy paste. See, this firstly, this question has been lifted from solid state physics. This question was there in our textbook, AKTU Energy, Science and Engineering, available on all online shopping sites. There we have explained you more in detail about this answer. Suppose it is saying photo. So that means photodiodes which catch hold of the photons of light, and this is used for making electricity. Thermal, E is equal to half kT. The thermal conductivity of a solid is larger than that of a liquid, which is larger than that of a gas. This trend is used in intermolecular spacing for the two states of matter. And electrical aspects come under the semiconductor physics, where we join the P and the N type and we make current flow. So assuming that material contains positive ions as an electron gas of classical physics or the non-interacting electrons, and they are able to explain electrical and thermal conductivity and Hall effect in metals. Free electron model helps us in predicting the heat capacity of metals, because metals have a large number of free electrons and they are very good conductors. And what we are actually wanting, we are wanting electricity. That is all. So we have to write this answer keeping these 3 points in mind. Define nuclear force and binding energy process which is happening, and explain the working of fission with the suitable diagram. So binding energy is basically the amount of energy which is required to separate a particle from a system of particles, or to disperse all the particles of the system. Since it's a 10-mark question, you can draw this diagram. Detailed explanation is there. You can check out my video lectures also, and amount of energy which is required to separate these particles. Binding energy curve suggests that the lightest elements have nuclei that are less stable, and the heavier elements peak rises till iron, and then it again starts falling down, and nuclear fission process starts happening. Chain reaction, explain the process happening in reactions. A chain reaction refers to a process in which neutrons released in fission produce an additional fission in at least one further nucleus. Chain means the continuation of the reaction. So this nucleus in turn produces neutrons, and the process keeps repeating itself. It may be controlled for nuclear power, or it can be uncontrolled for nuclear weapons. Solar radiation, and explains solar thermal power plant process mechanism. Basically, sunlight, when the energy of sunlight is harnessed for producing electricity, then we say it is a solar power plant dependent on sunlight. Sunlight is captured, and then with the help of certain electronic generators, it is utilized when sun is not there. Define semiconductors, state intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors along with carrier concentration. This same question was there in our model paper also. Semiconductors are two types, the intrinsic or the pure ones, and the extrinsic or the impure ones. When we add a trivalent impurity like aluminium, etc., we get a p-type semiconductor which is having more of holes, and when we add a pentavalent impurity like phosphorus, etc., we get an n-type semiconductor having excess of electrons, and they are good conductors of electricity. Explain in detail wind turbine and its major components. Wind turbines use wind to make electricity. Wind turns the propeller like blades of a turbine around a rotor, which spins a generator which creates electricity. Wind turbine, you can draw this diagram. This is there in our textbook, and explain how these blades rotate with the help of wind, and they help in generating electricity. Explain in detail ocean thermal energy conversion and its classification. So it is a process of using ocean itself as a solar collector. This technology is highly theoretical and utilizes the temperature gradient difference between the warm surface of ocean and the cooler water deep down. And this energy is harnessed. It is used to run the turbine. In return, electricity is produced, which can be utilized for running factories or buildings, etc. Explain energy audit by mentioning its types. This question was also there in our model paper. An energy audit is an inspection, survey, and an analysis of energy flows for energy conservation in buildings. It includes a process or system to reduce the amount of energy input into the system without negatively affecting the output. And describe in detail green building, green architecture. This, as I was telling you in the model paper, is also very important. And see, the question of 10 mark has come. Green building is a building that in its design, construction, or operation reduces or eliminates the negative impacts, and it can create positive impact on our climate and natural environment. We are supposed to be monitoring water efficiency, material efficiency, energy efficiency, etc. When which are the main mottos of green building architecture. And if you want more detailed explanation of these answers, you can refer to this book, AKTU Energy, Science and Engineering by Dr. Divya Gildayal. This book is available on online shopping sites. Thank you. And as per our promise, the question paper turned out exactly the way we had explained you 5 days before in the model paper.